Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's put some lipstick on this pig. Hello. I think that this is going to be an introductory video that I actually upload to YouTube. I am Beau. I'm at least Beau. I'm not sure exactly, my branding. I know Beau's involved for the most part. So I'm Beau, and I'm about representation, because that seems to be the problem. The problem is not that we don't have solutions. The solutions are everywhere. I learned early in life that, here's the best way to do this. And then as you go through life, you realize, oh, these are the better ways to do this, everything. A phonetic alphabet, a better way of measuring time, better way of operating every single thing, a better way we should run our streets. And so as I've designed these things, I realized, there's just not, the thing that's in the way is, we recognize it as the government. So when you say the government, everybody can recognize that as in the way. We can see that the government taxing people is in the way. But there's something, it's the inability to hear people out. We don't have the ability to hear each other. And we go with what only the stupid people want. So when you talk about the government, that's where you can recognize it. So basically, we recognize only, and so you look at the government and you go, what's the problem here? Oh, it's a two-party machine. You recognize that right off the bat. You're like, what? We have two choices. I mean, it's something kids learn and realize, what? That doesn't make any sense. You only have two choices, and they're completely different packages. So you're not deciding on anything. You're just getting one package of pluses and minuses and another package of pluses and minuses at best, right? But why that develops, people don't get to that level. A lot of people don't. And it's because we have single winner elections. They take a state, let's say Texas, which I live in Austin. So we take Texas, and they divide it up in the little sections, right? Like we have 38 representatives from Texas for the U.S. House of Representatives. And the way they do it is they don't take the top 38 people. Like in other words, you would think a 10-year-old would go, okay, well, let me imagine how it would work. I guess we each get to choose a person, right? We get to vote. So I'm going to choose a person. And then we take the 38 most popular people, who's got the most votes of those 38 people. You would think that's how you would do it, because that's how you would actually represent people. But it's not about representing people. It's about unrepresenting. It's about suppressing the representation. And let me get to that in a second here. But just so you know, they take the state of Texas, divide it up into little congressional districts. This is the gerrymandering. They make these things up. This is not even a real thing. It's not like they take, it's Dallas is all together. No, they just take up random things, and not random. They specifically choose to absolutely manipulate the system so that only Democrats and Republicans continue to win. But on top of that, they're fighting over each other. But so what happens is only a majority of people from each section, one person from each section. But to get that winner, not even a majority, it's a plurality. So you get the most votes, and it's sometimes it's about 15%, 25%, with all the elections combined. Like for instance, Trump won with 30% of the vote, 30% of the total vote. So if you take only people who went and voted, yeah, he had a majority of that, but that's not the real number. That's the illusion. And that's another thing. We're just being lied to in every which way possible. And so, for instance, when you say we need a body of elected representatives, people think of the U.S. House of Representatives, which is not a body of elected representatives. I mean, technically it is, but that is absolutely misleading to say that. And so you have people ingrained to believe that a body of elected representatives is a bad thing, that doesn't represent you. Like, okay, well, then whatever you want to call it, you can play the semantics game all day long. I'm for a situation where each member chooses who their vote is going to go, their voting power is going to go to, and we measure it and we keep it. And so I thought that was self-explanatory. 30 years ago, I started doing this, 97, 28 years ago. So in 97, I had a public access show, and I started talking about this on the public access show, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go with the flow wherever it goes. And teabagging was a thing, and then people calling me gay. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm the gayest show on earth then. And, so we went with the flow, but I'm always trying to give this message out that we need to choose our representatives. And I went to the next phase, which is I call the benchmark, where once you have a voting transfer, what do you do? Like if we did this for, so the American voters are 250 million, 250 million Americans can vote, right? Don't forget to exclude children. So we have 250 million about, let's just estimate that. And we need to represent them. If we did what I'm talking about, one-to-one representation, each member, each citizen of the United States can choose another person or themselves. They don't have to do anything. If you're, an anarchist and you don't want to participate at all, you stay at home or you're shut in, no one ever hears from you, you're still represented. That's what the beauty of one-to-one representation is. It's actual, real, genuine, undeniable, 100% accurate, 1 billion% accurate. No one is left out. 1-to-1. Each person is represented. So that system is so undeniably better than anything else you have that this is the thing. When I did the show, I did it for 5 years, and I felt like people were getting on board with it, but you never know. People are for this or that. They like you for this or that, or they don't like you, or they pretend to like you. They're saying things that I feel like nobody really understood what I was talking about. I feel like I never got it across. And I thought, after doing the show, I thought, well, I guess it doesn't matter if I say this because it's so obvious. Eventually, someone's going to come along and, the cat's going to be out of the bag. That why don't we just choose our representative? I thought of, out of the mouths of a child or something kind of thing would be, someone would like, oh, wait a minute, this kid has a good point. There's someone who said, why don't we choose our representatives? No one's figuring this out, and I don't know what's going on. I think there's all kinds of layers of why we're not doing this. It's been 8,000 years, 7, 6, whatever you want to say, since the time of civilization, and we are not figuring this out. So we've got to realize that, like my approach of, someone is going to figure it out. No, they're not. It's not that we don't figure it out. It's that we don't push it, to make it happen. And then it takes someone to push it and make it happen. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say, no, let's actually do this, guys. Pull your head out of your brain hole. We really need actual bodies of elected representatives. And then you come across, libertarians are now saying end democracy. I don't even know what. The what? Libertarians are saying if an individual has rights, but if a group of people come together, they should not have rights. I'm like, okay, guys, I get it. They shouldn't have more rights than the individual. You're on the right track there, but you've said they shouldn't have rights at all? Like, what? A group of people should maintain the same rights as an individual. And somehow the libertarians have painted themselves in a corner because this is a thing. End democracy is a phrase now with these libertarian communities. And it's a reaction to the dark side of democracy, right? So it's not that, so end democracy is a terrible thing to say, unless you truly are fascist and you think, well, we should control it. Everybody should be told what to do. And that's a valid thing. I'm not saying that I know for a fact democracy is the best option. I believe it is. And I believe that that's the right way to go, where people decide what they want themselves. That's what I'm thinking is the right way to do it. But I'm not delusional. It might be that fascism is the right way to go. We might, end up being like a beehive, where there's elite humans that control everything, and we just do what we're told. And that might be the right way to do it, the best way for humans. I don't know. I'm going with democracy. I'm going with people choosing their own way of doing things. Liberty, and freedom and not forcing anything. That's what one-to-one representation is. No one's forced to do anything. Now, this group could go on and raise an army and tax people, but that's what they're doing. And here's what's great about one-to-one. If they did that and you didn't support it, you would just stay home, right? You wouldn't vote at all. And your vote is counted. Remember, we're counting the votes that stayed home. How many people did not vote for either of the two, Harris or Trump? How many people? What percent of adult citizen Americans? And why is this not known by everybody, right? This seems to be a fundamental concept, a fundamental fact that we should know about an election, right? How many people voted for this candidate, and neither one? Those are three numbers you need to have. How the fuck did you not get those numbers, right? 41%, okay? That's an estimate. I haven't dived into the numbers exactly. And what I'm calling this is the RQ, the representation quotient, the RQ, because maybe we need a name for that. And that's how many people actually supported something. And so you'll find that it's never, or it's rarely a majority. And it's often about 15% of people. 15%. That's what generally, I feel like when I look at these numbers, I can't, I'm not, adding them up and cross-checking anything. It's just, that's what it feels like, that it's about that. And so that comes from single winner, where you only have one person. And so to touch back on that, when you only require a plurality, you then empower corporations that own newspapers, corporations that own news outlets, information outlets, institutions that control information. Those people can propagandize like nobody's business, right? Compared to you on the street with the sign, you go into your neighbors, good luck. I mean, these people are cranking it out. They're making money off of it because once you have that hegemony, then people want to, oh, well, if you've got everyone's attention, then I'm going to sell stuff. So they're giving them money. And then these people are lying and controlling these people. And it's overt now, but that's always been the case. Going back to Uruk, there's the priests come back down from the temple and they lie to people. They tell them, oh, this is what's going on. I interpreted everything and it's all figured out. It's nothing new, nothing to be afraid of, but this is how we operate. And the reason is because the plurality controls everything. Most people are incompetent, right? Out of a room of a bunch of people, how many people know CPR? How many people know how to change their oil, et cetera, et cetera? You're always going to have most people that don't know how to do anything. So most people are incompetent. So you have the majority of people of any group. So when you section them off in these little districts, most people are incompetent. And so we only listen to most people, and not even that, but a majority of most people. So it's just whoever of these, morons, whatever group of morons can be more manipulated, they're the only group that's listened to. And so that's why politicians lie, because we want them to lie. Why we would be disappointed if one of our politicians did not lie. If a politician told it like it was, we'd be like, oh my God, he's lost the election for us. What are they doing? This is insane. Why did he just spell it out like it is? We don't want that because we know strategically the dummies are now not going to vote for them because they're going to think, they're going to interpret it in an incorrect way. So what we need is representation. You choose your representative. That's it. End of story. Whoever you choose. You don't have to say anything and you've chosen yourself. We take that as for granted that you've chosen yourself. And we always count you in the numbers. And we're always keeping track of that wherever we go. In other words, when a group of people come together, we know the RQ for that whole group of people. How many people of the United States citizens that you're claiming to be representative of the citizens, how many of them do you actually represent? So I'm not sure if you can see the magic. Nobody that I talk to can. No one sees the magic. But this is something that can be used for anything. A business, as a business, you want to know what your customers want. You want to actually have representation of them. So we could do that. We don't have that now. Is that what's going on? Are people thinking, oh, well, we have the ability to click a like button? Yeah, 1,000 times. You can like everything. You can go to any social media website and I guess create a bot that just likes every single thing. Like, why would you say that person that clicks like a bunch of times should be multiply represented? Why should a protester who's screaming and yelling outside in the street be multiply represented? They get to vote and they get to scream and yell in the street? No. We're done with protesting. We're done with all of the citizens' communication. Our representative system is so unrepresentative. We actually have to have, let's allow people to at least go and speak their mind. Let a few of them, just kind of, it's like a steam release valve. The pressures on the people, they don't have representation. Well, you could have gone and talked to the mayor and the city council. They'll listen to you for a minute or 3 minutes or whatever it is. That's not representation. That's whoever gets the lottery of doing that. And that's not what we want. We don't want protesters to be empowered. That you have the ability to have more political power because you're taking the day off of work. You're spending your time doing that. Why wouldn't you just have a representative system instead? That's what I'm saying. One-to-one representation is what I'm calling the base thing. It's 11 words. Periodically, each member may transfer their voting power to any member. That's it. That's one-to-one. What are you left with? A bunch of representatives if you have a big body of people. Like Americans, citizens, you're going to have a lot of representatives, maybe millions, right? Because people voted for themselves. Okay, the benchmark is the way to slice off just the top, and you have a little section of the cream of the crop that speaks for the bulk of what's going on, the plurality. But then we also know the RQ of that group because we're measuring actual numbers. So we have the RQ of that group. We now know this benchmark committee, RQ 34%, says unanimously something. Well, that's only 34% of the people, right? It means a lot when that many people have spoken. And then polls. Good, for God's sake, we ask 1,000 people something and that's how we're basing it on? And what is it? A question that's been paid for some group that has a manipulative agenda. So they ask a question in a certain way, and then who knows who answers this question? A few thousand people at best? That's what we're going by? The polls are not accurate because they're just polls. You're just asking a few people. It's about pulling your head out of your brain hole. And I'm here to hold your hand and help you through this. I love you. I want you to be understanding this and take this on with you. There's nothing you need to give me. You don't need to give me any money. You don't need to buy anything from me. I just want, I want you to be empowered because the real solution is for each one of us to be able to make decisions for ourselves. We wouldn't be building bridges that don't need to be built if people didn't come together and support it. We get to see support. Do you see what I mean? Do we want to fight the war? Well, no one wants to fight the war. We see instantly. No one's interested in the least in this, even with the propaganda. I'm not saying leave the propaganda out. I'm not saying leave the stupid people out. Stupid people are represented, incompetent, evil, fascist, Nazis. Everyone's represented, but we're allowed to see how many people actually support these things. And you're going to find with the Ash effect, don't forget about that. That's an important concept. That when you have a group of people that we've controlled the conversation, we've shut out the nonsense, right? All the noise. We have actual people we can listen to and see what they're saying. They're not going to say crazy things as much. When they say crazy things, they're going to be held accountable to it. People are going to see, oh, those are crazy things. A person that says a reasonable thing, the Ash effect, one of the aspects of that is that when another person at the table reveals the reality of the situation, the person that's being tested, will then speak up 30% more of the time. I think it's 30%. It's way big, the increase. In other words, if on social media you don't see anything, well, see, that's the thing. They can control social media. You can't control this if you can actually choose your representative. Then you have a representative in power, even just one single voice speaking reason. Once you have a voice, people then react to that and they come back to reality, or they're exposed for being insane. And so you're always, I can go on and on about this, but it's basically like the way it works is one-to-one representation. you're going to have everyone's being tracked. Basically, a million people, right, are being tracked. Some guy only has 5 votes or 2 or 3, but some people have the most, and it's up and down, and these guys are all going up and down, and you can look at people who are rising. What's going on? Does this guy have good ideas or good propaganda? And so you can make your choices. You can get off the boat, get on the boat, switch candidates. In other words, you're not forced to be with like AOC. Like imagine you're or Trump, right? You have other alternatives. If someone says something obnoxious, you can get off of them. They dip down. And if they have integrity and they keep moving forward, they keep going back up. But you have the ability to lose. Currently, if you're an incumbent, that's all you got, right? I mean, these people, the Democrats have to vote for these people because that's who they have. If they don't, they lose the power. And then there's all kinds of other things too. But that's it. Thank you.